Hey, it's Zax from Ready Check Pull, and I'm here to tell you about what's going on with Marksmanship Hunter in Shadowlands. I'll go over the biggest changes from BFA and then let you know how I think the spec's going to play out overall. Marksmanship is one of the least changed specs going into Shadowlands, which I think is actually a good thing in this case because I've been having a ridiculous amount of fun playing it already. It got a ton of changes for Legion and then even more for BFA, so I'm glad they're sticking with this style for now and making some improvements people have been asking for. The biggest changes so far have been to the talents, but it also got a few more baseline abilities. The biggest new baseline ability is good old Kill Shot. It got removed for Legion, but now it's unpruned, baby. Gotta love getting your execute button back. It even has a new talent that interacts with it called Deadeye, which I'll go over in a second. So with that and the other execute style talent Careful Aim, Marksmanship could have access to some nutty execute damage. The other significant baseline addition is Hunter's Mark. Probably the most iconic Hunter ability of all time. I mean, it's in the name. And now all three specs get a baseline again. You can only put it on one target, but it doesn't cost any focus to cast, it lasts forever, it only triggers half a global cooldown, and it increases your damage done to the target by 5%. I'm sure a lot of people are going to love getting this back, but to be honest, I've always felt like it was kinda clunky in modern WoW. You always have to make the decision whether or not to recast it when you switch targets, and that doesn't always feel like a great decision to me. But hey, that's just me. Those are the only major baseline changes, but the biggest talent change I would say is the new Volley, an ability from way back in vanilla WoW that got removed, brought back, and then redesigned a couple times since then. Now in Shadowlands, it's effectively a short AOE cooldown. It does a ton of damage to everything in a ground targeted area, and activates trick shots for a few seconds, which is the buff that makes your main abilities bounce to other targets. So every 45 seconds, you get to absolutely light up a trash pack. A lot of fun to use, and I hope it stays how it is. The other major talent change is the addition of Deadeye, which I mentioned earlier. It makes Kill Shot have 2 charges, and it makes every kill shot cause aim shot to recharge faster for a couple seconds. So you can probably see why the execute damage might be pretty insane with this one. So with those few changes, generally what the single target gameplay boils down to is applying Hunter's Mark before combat starts, or switching it in combat to a target that'll live for several seconds. Keeping at least 1 charge of aim shot on cooldown as well as rapid fire, casting arcane shots to spend excess focus and steady shot to get focus back, and using kill shot when the target is below 20% health. The AOE gameplay is pretty similar, just replacing arcane shot with multi-shot and making sure to always activate trick shots before every aim shot or rapid fire. You do this by hitting at least 3 targets with a single multi-shot. So the AOE rotation is usually something like multi-shot and aim shot, then multi-shot and rapid fire, then multi-shot and aim shot again, etc. Marksmanship could actually become pretty great in Mythic Plus again, I think. Its main problem in BFA was that its AOE was capped at hitting 6 targets. But now going into Shadowlands, basically every spec's AOE is capped at hitting a small number of targets. This means every spec has that weakness now, if you want to think of it that way. So Marksmanship should be more likely to keep up with the AOE damage this time around. It also still has decent utility with an immunity, misdirection, traps, bursting shot, feign death, all that good stuff. It's also the only hunter spec that can use binding shot now, for whatever that's worth. The only glaring issue that I think could hold Marksmanship back at this point is the fact that trick shot still needs 3 targets to activate. This has been whacked since day 1 of BFA alpha. Blizzard really needs to either remove the 3 target requirement entirely, why not, or just change it to 2 targets. It will always feel terrible to only be capable of doing damage to 1 target when there are 2 targets. And that situation happens all the time. Please fix, I beg. I'm excited to see what the Covenant abilities, legendaries, and soulbinds bring to the table for Marksmanship. Either way, I think it's going to be one of my favorites and an absolute blast to play. If you like this little review, give us a like and feel free to check out any of the other specs I cover. And let me know in the comments or in our Discord which specs you want to know about next. Also, if you like what we do here, please consider supporting us on Patreon. It helps more than you know. Links to everything in the description. See you next time.